Hey, y'all, Patrick here with Vetted. Let's jump in. This is crazy. So remember those Chinese spy balloons from earlier this year that we shot down and then we recovered it, right? Well, there were others that we had potentially shot down, but we never recovered what was left of it. Well, apparently there was another original sighting before all of these, right? UFOs that we scrambled jet fighters after in the Arctic Circle, okay? Investigative journalist Ross Coulthart dug in. There's a piece on Newsnation. I was like, what? What's going on here? This is crazy. So let's get some backstory. We'll watch this video, this clip, and dig into it. And then I've also got an article from the Liberation Times, okay? Christopher Sharp. We're going to give him some credit. He's been doing a lot of work in the UFO community that ties into it. So first, let's watch this video. Then we'll get to that article. All right, let's jump in.
Americans are shocked when the Pentagon admits a massive high-altitude Chinese surveillance balloon...
Right here, UFO mystery over the Arctic Circle. Is the Pentagon hiding something?
...was able to enter U.S. airspace unhindered.
Does it scare you at all?
Yeah, of course.
It was just as crazy of a reaction as if it had been something.
Remember, everyone was just freaking out, like, what's this thing doing flying around? Right? What's going on here?
From out of this world.
It drifts for days across the continent before being shot down by US fighters off the coast of South Carolina.
They shot it!
But 6 days later,
They actually shot a couple missiles till they actually hit it, which is interesting.
Happens again. Around 1:45 Eastern Time, Friday the 10th of February, the first of 3 objects that are still unexplained is shot down by US fighters near the town of Deadhorse in northern Alaska. A massive air and ground search begins. Within hours of the shoot-down, the White House National Security spokesman admits they have no idea what the object was.
We're calling this an object because that's the best description we have right now. We do not know who owns it, whether it's state-owned or corporate-owned or privately owned. We just don't know.
These incursions keep on happening. A second cylindrical object is shot down over Canada's Yukon the next day, February the 11th.
And again, we didn't recover any of these that you're hearing from, except for that first one. That one Chinese spy balloon that we knew it was Chinese. We did recover that. But these other ones, the Alaska, Yukon, Canada, very interesting. Why didn't we recover these? Or at least talk about what we recovered.
And on the 12th, the third, this time octagonal object, was downed over Lake Huron near Michigan.
Now, they all have different shapes, which is interesting.
Now, a Newsnation exclusive. 3 sources tell me there was an earlier, publicly undisclosed incident over the Arctic Circle on the 1st of February, 3 days before the Chinese balloon shoot-down. These defence and intelligence sources revealing to Newsnation 8 or 9 UAPs were detected over the Arctic Circle and that fighter jets were sent up in what was an unsuccessful attempt to intercept them.
So that's crazy. So 8 to 9 UFOs detected over the Arctic Circle. We sent fighter jets up to intercept them, unsuccessful. This is February 1st. So before these Chinese spy balloon and the other UAP or UFOs that were, shot down, but we didn't recover anything. This is interesting, right? That's kind of crazy and recent. Very recent. So NORAD sends fighter jets after them. Now we should say that NORAD denied that they had sent any fighter jets up during that time. So NORAD is denying that happened. Now, they were saying there were some jets coming back from training exercises and things like that, but no fighter jets were specifically sent up to intercept 8 to 9 UFOs, right? And so, again, this is coming from Ross Coulthart, 3 sources telling him, right? So I have a feeling that a lot of these sources are the same for everybody. It's the same people feeding this information to everybody. And if you remain anonymous, then the person next to you doesn't know that you're also using that same person, right? So I don't know. I'm not saying this isn't true, but I'm just saying, you know, 3 sources. I don't know what that means.
Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defence Christopher Mellon has independently confirmed the same story.
Fighter jets were deployed from NORAD to engage with those objects, and that they were seen to manoeuvre away, apparently at high speed. Have you heard those allegations? I've heard it now from 3 different people.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing.
So, again, they could be hearing it from the same people, right? That doesn't make it true.
From an individual who would have plausible reason to know. But this really speaks to a much larger issue, which is the lack of information from the Air Force about UAP generally.
In response to questions from Newsnation, the Pentagon referred us to NORAD, who deny the allegations that fighter jets were scrambled to intercept UAPs. NORAD does say it had aircraft flying in the area, returning to home bases as part of a training operation. Newsnation is also being told by sources that the object the US shot down over Alaska on February the 10th was also anomalous. There's been silence for over 8 months on these shoot-downs, though in February the White House assured the public it was confident the Alaska object debris would be recovered.
It fell not only within our territorial space, but on what we believe is frozen water. So a recovery effort will be made.
Thanks so much for...
That guy sounds so nervous, doesn't he? Like, oh, God, don't ask me those questions. He did not seem comfortable at all giving those answers. But that could just be, you know, the situation, you know, that sort of thing. Not necessarily that he's lying. All right, so let's dig into this article from Liberation Times. Pentagon's UFO office prepares to release more information on February shootdowns following its latest report. Okay, so Arrow is planning on releasing some information on these February shootdowns. Okay, so the All-Domain Anomalous Resolution Office, right? Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, we've been covering that. He may not even be a part of this anymore. So it says right here, the U.S. Department of Defense, the DoD, has told Liberation Times that it has provided a full briefing to Congress regarding the February 2023 shootdown of 3 unidentified objects over North America. Furthermore, the DoD intends to share additional information with the public. Commenting to Liberation Times, DoD spokesperson Susan Go stated, "We do not have further information to share at this time. Those cases have been fully briefed to Congress, are being prepared for public release." Okay. However, the DoD could not confirm whether the forthcoming release of information would encompass imagery or footage as stated by Go. Further information on those cases will be provided once the information is cleared for public release. I cannot estimate when that will be, nor whether it will include imagery. The DoD informed Liberation Times that the 3 unidentified objects, which were shot down by U.S. fighter jets in February, were featured in the most recent unclassified report from its Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena UAP office, known as the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, ARROW. This development comes in the wake of recent criticism from commentators who question the DoD's justifications for withholding event footage. These criticisms arose because the DoD cited the use of sensitive technology as the reason for not releasing the footage, despite the same technology being showcased in recently released footage of a Chinese military intercept. Again, they showed pictures from the cockpit of shooting down the Chinese spy balloon. So it doesn't really make sense. Yeah, and then they released this other video, okay, of Chinese military plane like flying really close, and they, you know, we got the footage and they redacted a bunch of stuff from it. I mean, they clearly couldn't release it. Why aren't they releasing the other 2? Right? That is strange. Journalist Tyler Rogoway commented, "This is sniper targeting pod air-to-air footage, the same sensor that was used in the Chinese balloon and unidentified object shoot-downs that the DoD says is too sensitive technologically to share even photos from." Yeah, well, that clearly is BS, as we said at the time. Yeah, I mean, it is crazy. Why can they release one and not the other? February 2023 began with the shoot down of a Chinese surveillance balloon over the East Coast. Then in quick succession, 3 smaller unknown objects were taken down over North America, thought to be a potential threat to air traffic. So you had 4 total, okay? And 5th, if you want to count these Arctic Circle ones. I mean, if you want to connect them, I guess. But 4 that happened and 1 that they released the footage for, the Chinese surveillance balloon. The other 3, we don't know. All were shot down at the command of the North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD. Since then, few answers have been provided about the unknown objects, which were shot down over Yukon Territory, Lake Huron, and Alaska. The most interesting of those objects was the one shot down over Alaska. The Pentagon spokesman, Brigadier General Pat Ryder, told reporters that the object had been traveling at an altitude of 40,000 feet, which is about the same altitude as jet airliners. The object was described as cylindrical and silverish gray and seemed to be floating, a U.S. official said. Asked if it was balloon-like, the official said, "All I say is that it wasn't flying with any sort of propulsion. So if that is balloon-like, well, we just don't have enough at this point." U.S. military pilots sent up to examine the object gave conflicting accounts about what they saw, which is part of the reason why the Pentagon may have been cautious in describing what the object was, according to a source briefed on the intelligence. The pilots later gave differing reports of what they observed, according to the source. Some pilots said the object interfered with their sensors on the planes, but not all pilots reported experiencing that. That's interesting to note, guys. So, yeah, I appreciate this, from Liberation Times here, because there's some nuance here to what they're saying, and I appreciate this. Some pilots also claim to have seen no identifiable propulsion on the object and cannot explain how it was staying in the air, despite the object cruising at an altitude of 40,000 feet. Despite denying that they have identified craft belonging to non-human intelligence, the DoD cannot deny allegations that the Arrow has coordinated the collection and analysis of materials from an unknown origin. Separately, Dr. James Lakatsky, who headed a prior U.S. government investigation into unidentified anomalous phenomena, affirmed recently that the U.S. government possesses a craft of unknown origin and has access to its interior. We have covered that on the podcast. It's we're breaking into UFOs. That's the video. I'll put a link to it down below. But not so sure I buy that from James Lakatsky. But this is interesting, y'all. It's like, if NORAD shot these objects down, like that's confirmed, I mean, they're not just like standard balloons, okay? Maybe the Chinese spy balloon, more Chinese spy balloons. But again, why wouldn't they show us that recovery? Why wouldn't they show us that footage? It's just weird that they only showed that one of the 4, right? So you've got the Alaska one, Lake Huron, and Yukon in Canada, right? So it is interesting, right? This is very interesting. Cylindrical and silverish gray. That's the object in Alaska, floating at 40,000 feet. So what do y'all think? I'm sure you guys have lots of comments on this. We got the Arctic Circle, right? 8 to 9 UAPs. We sent fighter jets up to try to shoot them down, and unsuccessfully, right? Couldn't make interception with them, and then they just took off at a high rate of speed, right? This is crazy, right? What's going on with this stuff? This is definitely very interesting. So I'll put links to all of it. Let me know what you guys think. This is Patrick with Vetted. We'll see you on the next video. Remember, every day's a gift. Peace.